Hello everyone, this is Mr. Wanek again. I'm going to take a few moments to clarify some confusion that sometimes happens between some of the graphing. And I've listed here the PPC, the production possibilities curve, the product supply and demand curve, and labor supply and demand curve in case you can't quite read my handwriting there. And production possibility curve has to do with, if you recall, production of two products. There's no price involved or anything like that. And if I can get my pen to work here properly, as you'll recall, there's a curve like this, and that is showing the maximum output of the two products. So there'll be quantities here. So for example, 80 tons, and maybe down here it'd be 60 tons. And again, these two products could be rice and soybeans, like I had in my example, or things like that. And it's the maximum output of the two products given our limited resources. Scarcity limits us to this curve. And as we move along the curve, so if we move as from point A to point B to point C, what we're doing is we're making more of product 2 but have to give up product 1. And that opportunity cost, as we make more of product 2, of product 1 means that opportunity cost is increasing. So what can make the curve shift outward like this? An outward shift comes from more resources or new technology, not more demand. And that curve represents economic growth. So remember, we can produce either within here, we can produce within the curve or on the curve. On the curve is being efficient, maximum output. We can't produce outside the curve unless we have new technology or more resources. Now, as for supply and demand, I'm going to change my color of the pen. And make sure you be sure to label always. That's really important. It's always going to be price and quantity. And you'll have an upward sloping supply curve and a downward sloping demand curve. As you recall, businesses are supplying. They're saying, the law of supply is saying as price goes up, they want to produce more of the product to sell. And consumers are saying as the price goes up, we'll buy less. There's an inverse relationship. So as price goes up, consumers purchase less quantity, fewer of the product. And this combination of these two laws gives us an equilibrium price and quantity at the price at which quantity supply and quantity demand are the same. So let's say this price is, let's say it's for a product, let's say gasoline, and let's say it's $3 a gallon, and there's 1,000 gallons being purchased that day. And what could cause an increase in demand? Well, maybe a lot of people are going on holiday vacation. So demand would shift to the right, or is more income. People have more income. Let me change the color of my pen here. Demand would shift to the right, and we have a new equilibrium price that's higher. Let's say $3.25. And there's more supplied because of that too. So more income can do it. People go on vacation, things like that, anything increasing in demand. Price can go up from a decrease in supply also. Understand if supply shifts to the left, the equilibrium price will go up. This happens oftentimes in the springtime when they're converting from winter fuel to summer fuel. That is oftentimes why prices rise in the springtime. So again, understand how a shifting of a curve, what causes a shift of a curve, and what the resulting new price and quantity is. Lastly, we'll discuss for a moment is the difference when we go to supply and demand for labor. That's going to be a little bit different. Remember that on the vertical axis, the price of labor is wages. Again, we have quantity. And supply is workers. We are willing to supply more of our labor at higher wages. Demand is from the businesses saying that at lower wages, they are willing to hire more workers. And so we'll have an equilibrium wage. Let's say here it's $10 an hour. And let's say 30 people are working at that in this case. And so it can increase in demand. There can be an increase in demand from more businesses coming in or more people demanding that product. So if more people want that product, demand curve shifts to the right. Oops. D2. And as more people wanting the product, more businesses coming in, what's going to happen is that wages will rise, let's say to $12 an hour, and more workers will be hired because of that. Oops. So I want to make sure that you understood how they're supposed to be labeled and what happens in the differences between those three. I know it's a little bit sloppy on here, but I'm hoping that will clear up any kind of questions you may have as you're studying. Of course, if you have any questions regarding this or anything else, be sure to contact me.